Hi, everyone. This is Leonard Guzman here with Emily Robinson on the Life After D podcast. It's June 7th, 2021. We're here in Los Angeles. It's June gloom. I don't know if it's gloomy where you are, but this is not a real background. It is bright. This is thing in LA where it's like, I think it's like sunshine 300 days of the year, which it's good and it's bad because we got like a crazy drought thing every like season. Um, who
We're
knows?
always in a drought.
So yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No, I was just saying we're always in a drought being in the desert. But yeah, it's gloomy by me too, which I like. It's nice to have a change from the heat.
you. Yes, June 7th. I think kids like are. I know my nephew who's like he's 6 now. He's like, hey, summertime, and his school's winding down, and I imagine for like there's a lot of kids in my neighborhood who look like they're out and they're not going to school anymore. So um, yeah, let's get into it. So it's like with child custody and stuff, like how does summer like what are the trends here that you're seeing? Anything different with COVID?
There's a lot of fighting over summer travel and one parent being comfortable with it and another parent not. So that's been an issue I've seen a lot. Um, Arguments over passports and traveling internationally, and just more so than before because one parent is not okay with travel yet. So that's probably the biggest thing I've seen.
Yeah, it's like a gray area, I guess, like even among like individuals, right? Even with masks. I know like I have a friend who's getting married like tomorrow, and that's kind of weird. I mean, they're gonna do it in court. Is that right? In court, like a civil ceremony?
Yeah, you can get married at the courthouse.
Yeah, and that's already kind of like, oh, should I go? Should I go? I'll just send you a gift in the mail. I'll send you text you a gift card or something. So yeah, it's all gonna be subject to your preference, I guess. I don't know. There's a legal term for it yet. They'll come up with it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think a lot of people are doing courthouse weddings too because they've put their weddings off so long with COVID and then having a party later.
Okay, so let's get into the news. This is kind of boring. How my day. I woke up till WhatsApp kind of group to my friend's wedding, and it's enough about me. Let's get to the news. This is like the good stuff. Okay. First new. Okay. Chris Rock, my favorite comedian. Right. So, Chris Rock, according to Yahoo News, reveals a piece of advice he got from his divorce attorney, who now represents Melinda Gates.
Oh,
So Chris Rock, yeah, Chris Rock opened up about his experience with famed divorce lawyer Robert Stephen Cohen. You know that guy?
I don't know him. No.
Okay, well, Chris Rock knows him. Cohen is currently representing Melinda Gates, who could land the largest ever divorcement divorce settlement. I put in one word. Rock said Cohen once told him the bitterest divorce dispute only amount to a fraction of what's at stake. In the worst moments of Chris Rock's famously bitter 2016 divorce, the comedian said there was one piece of wisdom his lawyer shared that helped him get through the 2-year legal battle. That attorney, Robert Stephen Cohen, made headlines in recent weeks after court filings revealed he's representing Melinda Gates in her divorce from Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. Rock told Insider in an interview that Cohen was a capable, intelligent, realistic lawyer who helped the comedian see the bigger picture, that most of his divorce had already been resolved, and the most contentious parts composed of a tiny fraction of what was at stake. Put it this way, people get divorced, people fight, things take sometimes years. At the end of the day, you're only talking 4% one way or the other, Rock said. Cohen said to me, I was like, okay, and that put it in perspective. Cohen told Insider his 4% rule holds up in most divorces he handles. He's one of the most prominent divorce lawyers in the country, and he's represented a number of high-profile clients, including Michael Bloomberg, the New York City mayor, actors Uma Thurman, James Gandolfini, and both the Donald Trump ex-wives. At the end of the day, the differences are usually a small percentage, both with respect to money and with respect to custody issues.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it in perspective. I mean, that is true. A lot of times, what people are fighting over is a very small difference, like 1 day of custody a month, or, you know, 1% of the entire wealth of their estate. And they don't see it that way. They see it more as, an issue by issue rather than a global thing. But I think if you can put it in perspective and frame it that way, then I do think that does help a lot of people. And I do think it can be true a lot of the time as well.
So 4%, what is the courts already, like, if California, we're assuming, things are already kind of like, there's already laws in place where, like, you're assuming you don't have a prenup, it's like kind of, you're only going this way or that way 4%. That's like his calculation. Is that, like, where does he come up with that number?
Well, I think he's probably saying, I don't know if that's just a guideline the lawyer came up with, that if you're within that 4%, that's a reasonable range of dispute. So, like, if wife values the business at X and husband values the business at Y, if they're within 4% of each other, then you shouldn't go to court over it. It's worth settling that amount because it's not that large. Um, I'm not sure exactly where the 4% came from. I don't know if that's just was related to Chris Rock's case. And the lawyer said, look, the difference in your numbers is 4%. Or if that's just a rule of thumb that that particular attorney has found is a good range. But regardless of which it is, that's what I try to do in my cases too, is I say, look, you're arguing for this, she's arguing for that. Let's look at how far apart you really are. And, like, is that even worth going to court over? Sometimes it could be, but a lot of times it's not.
Yeah, 4% of $100, $4, like, right?
Exactly. But sometimes it's just the principle of things. Sometimes people fight over the pots and pans.
Yeah, buy new pots and pans.
Right?
All right, let's go to this Kim Kardashian. So it's like clickbait. I gotta click on it. All right. So according to page6.com, Kim Kardashian breaks down over Kanye West divorce. I feel like a failure. Even if you're a billionaire, I mean, how can you feel like a failure? Okay. So Kim Kardashian broke down in tears, telling her family she feels like a failure amid her crumbling marriage to Kanye West. Feel like a failure, and that's like a third effing marriage, Kim said in a flashback clip during Thursday's episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Yeah, I feel like a effing loser, but I can't even think about that. Like, I want to be happy. Through tears, Kim was still with West at the time of the filming, said all the lights rapper deserved a woman who could follow him to another state where while she raises their 4 kids. I honestly can't do this anymore, he said, as she recapped the fight as the strange couple had to her sisters, why am I still in this place where I'm stuck for years? Like, he goes and moves to a different state every year. I have to be together so I can raise a kid, and he's an amazing dad and he's done an amazing job. So, like, third marriage, is this like,
wow. Well, I mean, I think even celebrities can feel like failures. And I think a lot of people, when their marriage doesn't work out, they do feel like that because they made a choice to try to commit to something and make it work, and it doesn't. And then they feel like they failed at it. But it's not necessarily a failure. It might just be that, it was good at the time, but now it's not working. A lot of things that don't work out aren't failures. They're just, you changed or you grew, or it's just not the right thing anymore. And that might be the situation here. And, I think with multiple marriages, people feel like failures too sometimes, like, oh, it didn't work out. Now it's not working out again. But again, it could just be that you need different things at that different time in your life. And so it's not failing. It's just, you know, finishing that chapter and now moving on to a new one.
All right, next article. I like this CNBC. Sometimes I feel smart after reading an article. So this is a good feel-good one. How a single mom built her net worth to $750,000 just 4 years after her divorce. Personal capital financial hero Lakeisha Simmons used these baby steps to save and invest $750,000. Prior to divorce, Dr. Lakeisha L. Simmons hadn't given much thought to her net worth. At 36, a mother of two, was debt-free, but for the first time in her life, responsible for every household expense and financial decision. It was a lot on my shoulders, said Simmons, who was recently honored by Personal Capital as a financial hero for building her net worth to $750,000 in just 4 years after divorce. Divorce is basically like starting over. So that's what I did. It was a big weight to bear. Everything lay on my shoulders. I knew that I needed to figure out money and learn to truly understand it. Simmons is not alone in her quest to get a handle on her money. As a single mother, in a recent personal capital study, 2/3, 60% of single moms reported that they aren't confident in their ability to plan for retirement, compared to 40% of the general public. And with a record number of women leaving the workforce as a result of the pandemic, burnout increased childcare duties, the impacts of the gender wealth gap now hit harder than ever. So it says here, find out where you stand. Simmons' first step in starting over after divorce was to calculate her net worth. She had no debt after paying off her student loans and had $5,000 cash in savings. There were also a few retirement accounts from a previous job totaling $125,000, and she made $35,000 from the sale of her home. So what she did, she added up the total value of her assets. So it looks like she kind of just did a quick audit. So then, you have to ask yourself what matters, reduce costs, and then max out retirement investments, open a brokerage account, be open with your kids about money, identify your financial freedom number, how to track net worth. Yeah, so it's like you kind of start over, I guess, because you go through a marriage. You like the biggest asset in the U.S. they say is like your home, right? And you cut it in half. You kind of lose your equity in a way, so it's tough to start over.
It is. It is tough to start over, but I think anytime you go through a divorce, it's smart to get a financial planner or a CPA involved to guide you on the best ways to invest and spend your money, because a lot of people don't know or haven't been the main financial manager of the house, or now have a very different financial layout than they did during the marriage. So having someone to do that for you is really important. And there are people that specialize just in divorce planning, like certified divorce planners who do financial planning for people going through divorces. So I think it's really important to talk to someone like that, because they can help invest your money in a way that will benefit you.
Okay. Let's see. So much things to get to. So let's get to the part of the podcast, Dear Emily, where people post things where Emily gives advice and tips on whether it's, like you're saying, financial advice, where to get it, child custody, things of that. Maybe a lot of things I feel like mental health. So for instance, this first post, let's get to it, is a mental health one. When things aren't really bad, it's hard to justify divorce. I pulled the plug a month ago on a 16-year relationship. Things have been sucking for a while, but never as flat out awful as a classic bad relationship. I know it was the right decision, but in the hard moments, it's definitely much more difficult to be sure when there wasn't cheating or abuse or clear horrible thing that was done. Does anyone have similar situations, and how do you stay strong?
That's really tough. I mean, there doesn't have to be cheating or abuse for a situation to not be good. If you're not happy, you're not happy. And there could be many reasons for that. And you don't need to stay in an unhappy situation. But really, the best thing to do is have support groups, have someone to talk to, have a therapist, have important people in your life that can help you get through this hard time. Um, I don't think that can be emphasized enough is that you need supportive people around. You don't want to retreat into, you know, a hermit and just stay in your bubble without letting people in and go through this on your own. You have to have other people to support you.
Okay, let's see. This is an interesting one. Has anyone ever held off on signing their divorce papers for a long time? We've been through mediation and she signed a binding agreement for that. My attorney wrote up the final papers, gave them to her and her attorney a month ago, and nothing. My attorney reached out more than once, but it's been radio silence. My ex hasn't taken any calls or any of my calls or responded to emails since she got an attorney 7 years ago. We've been separated for 18 months and we were mostly friendly up until then, but about a month ago, before she got an attorney, she started sounding sour. So I can't call her and ask her what's up. I asked my attorney what I can do to get this finalized, and without going down the rabbit hole, it will cost a ton of money. We decided to wait a few months and see what happens. I've spent enough in legal fees at this point. Is there something I'm missing here? Is there any reason she'd be waiting to sign? I know she didn't get what she wanted in the mediation, but she signed the binding memo. I understand if she reached out and asked about amending it, but she's not doing that. She's just doing nothing. I'm having a hard time with this. Any advice?
That's tough, but I do see this a lot. It could be because she knows the sooner she signs, she loses her health insurance. It could be because the sooner she signs, the finances get disentangled and maybe she gets less money because now she starts getting support, but it's lower than what she's getting now. It could be that she's having buyer's remorse from the agreement. It could be that she doesn't want the marriage to end and signing this is the real indicator that it's over. I mean, there could be so many reasons, but there probably is not something super deep that is stopping her. It's probably just one of those things and it just needs to get communicated and be dealt with because it's going to get done one way or another. So someone needs to tell her that she's just got to deal with it.
Okay, here's an article, because I remember the previous episodes we talked about gray divorces. So this is about a gray divorce. We're 66 and 69, male 66, female 69, talking about alimony buyout. Me, male 66, and her, female 69, separated 3 months ago, trying to type things up here. In my state, it looks like somewhere east, she can ask for and usually get alimony equal to 30% of the income differential for one half the length of the marriage. It says here 28 years, so it'd be 14. Our Social Security checks are about the same. Cash and IRA split 50-50. Between that, we can easily cover our expenses apart from her demanding alimony. Pretty amicable. The problem is that I work part-time and just can't see giving her a big chunk of my income until my early 80s when she can, but won't work. This week, I'm going to offer a lump sum as I have the cash and believe me, it's worth it to get out from under this. Full disclosure, I'm sure she's just as glad to be getting rid of me. Been lurking and seemed like the place to go to vent. Would love to hear, any advice or experienced alimony in a gray divorce.
Well, in California, alimony is discretionary. So the court, yes, there are guidelines for how much they award, but it's based on a lot of factors in the family code. So, you know, they can definitely work out or ask for a situation that will not break the bank for the person paying it. And especially in a gray divorce where people might not have that many more working years till they retire, the court will consider those kind of factors when making the alimony award. So that person isn't necessarily stuck into that guideline number. There's a lot of wiggle room in there.
Okay, all these good topics today.
Yeah.
This is the last one though. Running out of time. So the last one looks like a life after divorce one. Do you regret your decision? If you regretted getting a divorce, you wish you would have stayed and stuck it out. I appreciate hearing any opinions. Any regrets?
It's a good question. I mean, I have heard a lot of people having regrets because they think the grass is greener on the other side and it's not. I've actually seen people remarry afterwards, after they've been divorced. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've also seen people happy and know that they did the right thing because it wasn't working. So yes, I definitely think it goes both ways. But that's why when people come to my office, I tell them, make sure you're ready before you do this, because it's a pain to unravel. Even though you can, there's a lot of hurt and emotions, and you don't necessarily want your family to go through that.
Okay. Well, I guess there's a couple of things, a couple of trends here I noticed with people, getting married, wedding plans like a year
Yeah.
later, like within. So, we were talking a little bit. There's like an uptick in prenups.
Right.
That's I guess it all kind of goes together. So,
Yeah. I've had a lot of prenup calls lately, people wanting to go to the courthouse and just get it done because they've been waiting with COVID, and there's no end in sight as to when things will open up normal again. I mean, I know they say in June things are supposed to open up normal, but who knows? So they just want to get their weddings done. So yeah, I've had a lot of prenup calls lately related to
okay,
that.
so that means that's like a little thing. We got like a glimmer of hope. So a little bit. Don't get too
Yeah, life moving
confident.
forward again.
So yeah, so let's just close on that. We're up in it. We're up, like leaving the casino in a good mood, and let's just do that because divorce can get dark, So
It's very
um,
true.
yeah, so let's close on that. So thanks everyone for joining us on the Life After Tea podcast. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye.